Welcome to episode 4 of our 19-day travels through Tanzania, specifically in the Northern Circuit region of Tanzania. As we are now in East Africa, we zoom in to focus a little bit on the parks that we've spent some time in, and specifically we're going to be spending 2 days in Tarangire. Now, for the purpose of this video, what I've done is I've made it appear as though it's a single day visit to the park. We actually arrived at 6 p.m. On day 9. We spent all of day 10 and half of day 11 in the park before heading back to Arusha. But it's a park that is actually very easy to visit, stay one night, and really enjoy for an entire day. If you do that, you're typically going to be staying in a village lodging or in a lodge that's outside of any park boundary because you won't get through the next park gate by 6 p.m. But that in mind, let's get into Tarangire Park. We've gone into September, which is a great time to go because actually it's the dry season. What this does is this brings all the animals, just like this very pregnant lioness, down to the water to get what they need for their hydration and for their relaxation. She's going to try to get it while she still can, in her case. If you go to Tarangire during other times of the year, you'll probably want to avoid March, April, and May. Now, those are beautiful times of the year when the grass is incredibly green. The roads are not going to be too horrible, but you're going to have a situation where the animals are going to be spread out a little bit more in the park. That's not to say you won't have great encounters, but you're pretty much guaranteed to have really good viewing when you know the animals have to come to the water. They're catering more to your needs that way, of course. So, in that in mind, our trip's in September, very, very rewarding. Just about an hour in, we've already had some time with the lioness, and then these guys, these impala, that are having a nice little three-way duel down on the water. Were actually quite a bit of fun to watch. Now, a parade came to welcome us as well, and when you're on safari, you just have to be willing to pull off the side of the road and let it happen.
5 minutes to kill. You guys want to go ahead and take them forward stuff?
Sounds good, thank you.
Oh my God.
I dare somebody to throw a sandwich on your hood. So you heard Danielle say 5 minutes to pills over the radio. One of the things that's very important is that you stay quite religious on your timing of your pills that you're taking for your antimalarials or anything else that you might have over there. Specifically, it is important that you take them in the 24-hour windows that are prescribed. This brings you to the idea of the concept of mosquitoes and tsetse flies, and oh my gosh, they're horrible. Well, one thing about going in the drier seasons and staying actually up in northern, the highlands, or in Serengeti is that your timeline and your elevations do not cater well to the tsetse flies or to the mosquitoes. We actually had just absolutely minimal encounters with either of the two, and we don't have any stories about mosquitoes or tsetse flies from our trip. But anyway, stay on those pills and take them on time. Well, if nothing else, Tarangire is incredibly well known for its very large herds of elephant. I've heard estimates of between 3,000 and 6,000 total elephants within the Tarangire park boundaries. Of course, they come and go, but the herds are going to be very often, some can number in the 200 or 300s in size, sometimes larger. Again, this time of the year in September, we are 3/4 of the way through, almost towards the end of the dry season, and what it does is it brings all the animals to the Tarangire River. So it really is a great opportunity just to follow a few of the roads that follow the river or to make your way down to the swamps, and you're absolutely going to be gifted with some great encounters of the animals enjoying the water. So throughout the bulk of our travels, we've had some pretty meticulous navigational planning and some on-the-fly, on-the-go orienteering as we've been making our way through Serengeti all the way up to Kogi. Tarangire National Park became an area where I wanted to basically have as little nav as possible and just see how well the park could be traversed without something. I would say at bare minimum you need to have one of the hand-printed maps just to make sure you understand some of the intersections you're coming to. The park generally runs north-south. Most of the roads generally run north-south. There are a few critical east-west roads that will help you get jumped over to the swamp area and then back to the river. And understanding where you are in those areas when driving will be helpful and certainly give you confidence. In Tarangire, however, the concept was, well, let's just go. Let's burn an entire day here and we'll have a turn back time. And once we get to that turn back time, we'll just turn back north again and come on back up. So we arrived at the Slali swamp area around lunchtime, and while we were there were just a few herds of elephant that were down by the water. And after lunch we drove down and just were consumed by this massive grouping. It was awfully fun to watch them play, and then ultimately towards the end watch the group move off through the swamp off towards the east. This is safari, so I'm actually going to stay quiet for quite a while here because this is what you're going to be doing. It's just being quiet and enjoying. So this is the Slali Swamp, and it is probably in the 11 o'clock hour, so for an early lunch. And the timing just was incredibly fortuitous for us because the herd came while we were there, and the herd headed out about the time we wanted to go. We spent about 2 hours with this group, and whether it was a combination of several herds put together that had all just kind of intersected and congregated here all coincidentally at once, or if this is just one massive herd, is anybody's guess. But just take a look at the depth of this grouping of elephants, because not only do you have these here in the foreground, start to pay attention to what's going on in the background as we pan. Yeah, there's a few in the midground, but look way to the back and way to the way back and even way to the way back. You have dots that are elephant crossing the swamp. So again, get to the water, and Tarangire is going to give you a lot of opportunity for that in the swamp and the river. But just an amazing experience with more elephant than you can probably imagine in one setting. Well, here's perhaps a great opportunity to talk about the variance in zoom capability. Here is a video of my wife videoing, and you can see this is as far as I can push a smartphone or a small camera in. Sarah, with her 600 millimeter lens, is probably pushed, I would say, about 500 millimeters in, just to make sure she's got a nice crisp video and that she doesn't have any fuzz. And look at the difference in how close you can get. So again, the idea of going with the right camera with the right lenses is really, really going to be worth it. Certainly on the fly shots like this with your smartphone are handy, or any kind of a point and shoot camera, because they play in really nicely too. But at this point, we begin to move up towards the north part of the park. We actually are passing the Quarry private campsite here and making our way to the north area above the northern riverbed. And as we are making our drive, we actually encounter our next little viewing of lions. You know, and as we arrive here in this little video of Sarah setting up her lens and camera, you get a chance to see the operation of the Manfrotto window mount. Here she is sliding into it. You'll notice the variability and movement she has on the camera. And up and down is simply controlled by moving the window up and down. So what we're filming here is a group of mongoose that have actually crossed over the river and don't realize how close they're getting to a group of 4 very sleepy lions. Makes for an interesting little encounter that we decided to stop and watch for a while.
And now they all hear the mongoose. Here we go. Here we go.
Jim, Boyd Jr. is allowed to leave the group anymore.
Not every time that a lion goes after something is it going to get a kill. In fact, sometimes we feel you just got to protect your street cred. You got to be tough. And oh no, don't go. Don't be cute. Don't be cuddly. You be tough. Be ferocious.
Oh.
Okay, so at Panoramic Adventure, we are all about overlanding, and we are all about wayfinding, orienteering, finding your own way, and having a very well laid out plan, but being adaptive and flexible to what can come at you during the day. Talk a little bit about overlanding camping. Here it is, setting up camp at the Quarry private campsite. Certainly the opportunity to get a fire going while you still have some daylight is a good idea. And having your dinner a little bit before dark is never a bad idea out here in the bush. We are alone in these areas, and we are playing a heavy game of cards, and I'm not winning. But in any event, certainly camping like this is certainly going to be a little bit primitive. Bathrooms in the private campsites are not around, but if you're that kind of intrepid soul, if you're that kind of a hardy spirit, this is for you. A Panoramic Adventure can certainly take advantage of all of our navigational and know-how on how to get around in these areas and put you into beautiful lodges at night, or into public campsites at night, or into really, really nice, luxurious tented camps. When you're on your own, you're in charge of all your security, all your own safety, dousing your fire at night, but it is an incredible, incredible experience. In the morning, you're just gifted with just beautiful sunlight coming up and some great opportunities for shots, and of course, then it becomes time to get going and get on down the road. This is pretty much going to end our visit to Tarangire. As I said, I condensed 2 days worth of travel into the single day, because we really only spent about 7 hours of actual safari time in the park. We had a leisurely first day and then a half day in the morning. Again, we go back to navigating with the Tracks for Africa, where I've put in all my waypoints, and even the most narrow single track back road dirt road is in this. One thing that's interesting, however, is that when you're in town, the main roads are listed and the mid-range roads are listed, but the offshoot roads to some of the hotels, they kind of don't know how to get you any deeper towards the hotel other than just basically where to turn off. So we'll break camp now. We'll get into the drive back to Arusha and wrap up the final day of our safari. That in mind, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of video of the drive back into town. We talked a little earlier about the fact that your Garmin's going to get you so far, or your Tracks for Africa are going to get you so far. Navigating through the small villages and in town, through Arusha, Moshi, anything like that, very, very doable. You're driving on the left side of the road because this is a former British colony from the right-hand seat of a vehicle. If you're a confident driver, if you're a smart driver, you're going to be okay. But don't expect anything related to normalcy at intersections. Nowhere near as bad as India. However, yeah, hope for the best for everybody in the intersection.
So we're following the motorcycle guy to our lodge because there's no signs, so somehow you're supposed to figure it out.
We have found it.
Hey!
After you wrap up a 5 or 7 or 11-day safari, you're gonna be dusty. It's important to note that there are several different styles of safari. We're showcasing an overlanding, self-drive, private campsite style safari here. Now, that's not to say that Panoramic Adventure can't get you into lodges in the parks around town for a traditional guided safari, views of the summit of Mount Meru, those types of things from a pool with all-you-can-eat popcorn and cocktails. That's a great safari too. So don't think it's all about camping. Here's an example of once you're inside of the off-the-beaten-path roadway, you get these great little experiences with these little lodges or the big 5-star hotels. Let us know what you want. We can put it all together. We just know how to also deal with the rugged, rustic, hardcore navigation trips as well. That makes all the other stuff pretty darn easy. So don't be scared. Give us a call. We're happy to give you a hand.